Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Thursday morning. Again, it's a gorgeous morning here. The humidity has disappeared from last week. The rain has disappeared from yesterday. Sunny day, very comfortable. If you're headed up this afternoon, you'll have a great day. And it looks like more of the same tomorrow and Travers Saturday as well. So the weather is working out nicely. Coming up a little bit later on this morning, Dave Grening will join us. Regular rotation from the Daily Racing Forum. And it's Dave's turn in. We'll do a little preview and review, look back last weekend, but also look forward to this weekend with Dave as well. Same scenario with Matt Shiffman from Horse Racing Nation. He'll join us a little bit later on as well to talk about the meet in general and some of the things coming up this weekend. But one of the things coming up this weekend, one of the highlights, certainly, Travers, obviously, an exclamation point, but a lot of people are going to be looking forward to the Personal Ensign and Thorpedo Anna. And so who better to talk to than the trainer, Ken McPeek. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy to have you on board to talk a little Thorpedo Anna and more. Let's start out just checking out Twitter. Seemed like a nice crowd over in the paddock, and she was over schooling this morning, correct?
Yeah, our routine for races, she typically stands in the gate on Wednesday, and then on Thursday we take her main track and let her walk through the paddock and then give her a nice sweet gallop over the main. She was extremely tough today. Bobby, the rider, was really concerned about her going too fast and was pretty conservative on letting her gallop along today. But tomorrow we'll get her a nice, sweet gallop over at the Oklahoma side. She's pretty. She's a little wound up because she was in the paddock today, and then tomorrow morning we'll take her out first set where she's much quieter and easier to handle.
Is that kind of a mental thing when she goes to the paddock? She's kind of automatically thinking, "Oh, it's kind of maybe it's game day here."
Yeah, she's all about game day too. If she thinks it's coming, then she gets excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was extra tough for him to handle today, but that's a good sign. That just means she's ready.
On her toes. You're over on the Oklahoma side. Are you in the annex?
I'm in the annex.
Yeah.
I'm in the old steeplechase barns on the other side. I've been there 15, 20 years now. Yeah, a long time. I like it over there.
Yeah,
it's quiet.
Nice. Yeah,
I can avoid the media.
We appreciate you coming in this morning, though. And let's talk a little more Thorpedo Anna, because I pulled up a replay going back to the end of June, the Fleur-de-Lis down at Churchill Downs. Thorpedo Anna gets the nice victory there after what had to be a little bit of a disappointment in the La Troyenne previously. But talk about the rebound effort here in the Fleur-de-Lis.
Well, we've taken a pretty conservative approach to her on the second half here. I mean, the Fleur-de-Lis was just a really unusual race. I mean, they squeezed her. Who's to say what exactly what caused that and why? I mean, if you gave Flavie and Pratt days for what happened here earlier in the meet, and then nothing was said whatsoever about what happened to her at Churchill, that's a real head scratcher to me. I can't undo it, but I think it's every reason in the world to understand why she didn't run well. And Johnny Velasquez himself said she got hit really hard by his filly. So, we've rebounded, and the Fleur-de-Lis was a really nice comeback race. And then, this is another next step to get her to the Breeders' Cup.
And again, this is a salty field in here. Randomized, Leslie's Rose, Raging Seat, Dork Vader, who's coming out of fourth in the Molly Pitcher, but won the Ogden Phipps before that. What are your expectations for Saturday?
I expect her to win. I mean, the outside draw is perfect. The fact that Brian kind of set his own terms out there and don't have to worry about getting squeezed like he did at Churchill. And, probably tell him to take an outside trip and just get it done. She's good as ever. She seems like she's great right now. And it's a chance to continue to stamp herself as the best filly in there.
And I think she continues to be kind of a fan favorite. As they say, there were some pictures of folks over in the paddock, and that's got to be gratifying to have a horse that is helping develop fans for the game.
Well, yeah, I utilize X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it today. I think it's a good chance for us to let everybody know where she is and what she's doing. She's had a real consistent pattern of work, and I thought, well, we'll take her over there and school her and give everybody a chance. Although the Naira didn't let anybody in till 7, and she got there at about a quarter till till. But we drug our feet a little bit so people could see her. And look, it's how many chances will I probably get to have a horse of the year to be able to share in the second half of her career, and I just enjoy doing it. I think it's what it's all about. It's easy to do. I've got about 25,000 followers, which is a great way to communicate with those out there. If you want to add to the 25,000, it's at Kenny McPeek. It's easy. I pretty much lay it all out there. I let everybody know where I'm going, what I'm doing. We even got Sonny on there quite a bit.
Sonny's with you today.
My handsome yellow lab who's over here laying down, chilling out because he's been busy begging for biscuits all morning long.
He was active when you showed up, though.
Yeah, he gets a little fired up when he comes out. He's got, there's a lot of trees around here. There's a lot of work for him to mark them all in one visit.
I wanted to, because it is Travers weekend, I wanted to go back also and really the highlight of last year. But for me up here at Saratoga, this will be a kind of a highlight race overall. We'll watch last year's Travers, which you have to have, I suppose, mixed emotions about. We're going to see fierceness get it done over Thorpedo. And I had Thorpedo in on top that day. I thought she was going to go by, but boy, this was a great race. What was your takeaway from last year's Travers?
Well, for those that have watched Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you're last. It was a valiant effort and just a really tough beat. I think I broke my right fist when I hit the table when we were second. But, look, I'm really proud of her. She was going to be really such a big favorite in the Alabama. It was going to be a bit of a yawner. So I thought, well, this is as good a time as any to really showcase how good she is. And what I loved most about it is that she rose up and she did what she needed to do to get there. And I think maybe with a little different trip, she wins. And, look, Fierce just ran a fantastic race that day. I mean, he ran probably the best race of his life, I think.
Yeah.
And, there was no shame. We beat Sierra Leone. For those that say we can't compete against the Colts, we know we can. It might dictate whether or not we come back in the Breeders' Cup Classic in the fall. But right now, I'll probably say we're going to go distaff, but it's too early to say.
Yeah,
it's not set in stone.
She came out of that and won the cotillion in the Breeders' Cup distaff last year and went on to that great campaign. And certainly proved that, she likes this track. A couple of wins in that second place finish in 3 starts. So we'll wish you a lot of luck on Saturday with her. I pulled up a few other races and just want some thoughts on some of these. The sorority just the other day, Spitfire. We're going to watch the race here. Spitfire is going to be the number 2 horse and wind up second. But this is off a maiden breaker right up here at Saratoga, a daughter of McKinsey. And again, nice second place finish and only the 3rd career start off the maiden breaker. What was your takeaway from the performance by Spitfire the other day in the sorority?
A little frustrating. I mean, I think the one horse had the rail trip, and then Chris Elliott, he and I talked post race about really staying in that pocket inside, and I think when he took out, he might have cost her a chance to win the race. Would rather have he stayed inside, but look, he's a young kid and he's learning, and this is something that Brian Hernandez is really good about doing, is hugging that rail and saving every inch of ground. But when he hit her left-handed, she popped outwards, and she went from maybe the 1 path to the 5, and I think it's different from winning and losing that Saturday. But look, a nice filly. She's still got the condition, and we'll probably take her back into the Pocahontas at Churchill in the fall.
I was going to say, I would expect.
I'd love to get her to the Alcibiades.
Okay, back to Kentucky. There. I also wanted to pull up a win earlier in the meet because this horse was kind of interesting. This is going back to just a couple of weeks, August 1st, but it's a win by Goldeneye, going to be the number 3 horse here. But this one's intriguing. Started the career in Southern California and then went into your barn. There was a start down at Churchill, but then a win at Colonial and this win. So you've had the horse now on the move to the East Coast for 3 starts and a couple of wins. And I saw this one had a workout, I think, just recently down at Churchill. Yeah, just a couple of days ago down at Churchill. So that one's gone back to Kentucky. But talk about, you wind up with a a 6-year-old in your barn that has turned out to be pretty nice.
You know, he's a nice, steady colt. We didn't know a lot about him in the beginning, but I gave him a little bit of a break right after he arrived with us. I thought he needed it. And then once we've got him through all that, you know, he's going the right direction. He's going to run in the Kentucky Downs, the Bowling Green,
Okay.
which is the 2 mile and 1/16 race, and really an unusual distance. And it's $1 million race, though, so there's a lot of reasons to give him a try. And I think he'll handle the 2 miles without any trouble. Jose Ortiz is taking the call back on him, and David Bernson, the ownership's got ambitions to win the Melbourne Cup, and I think that'd be great. I mean, you know, look, if he could jump through this hoop, and then we could bring him back in something else. I'd love to think we could take him to Flemington. That'd be an awesome trip. And you know, he's got some more things to prove. Of course, what he ran in was a couple of allowance races, and certainly not graded stakes level. But this is the Bowling Green would be a really good next step.
Yeah, it looked good doing it, certainly. I'll also want to just preview some of the action you have coming up over the next few days. Tomorrow night, Friday night, the Charlestown Classic. You have Gould's Gold in there. Comes out of a couple of nice races, a win at Churchill, a close-up third in the Cornhusker. 12-1 on the morning line. Given the current form he's in, I thought that was a little high on that one. What are your expectations for Gould's Gold?
Well, he was really unlucky in Iowa. Really unlucky. The race the pace of that race did not set up very well, and he got boxed and stopped and really couldn't get out. And I think they sprinted home, and he couldn't get himself in gear quite in time. So I think he was unlucky there. This race is tricky because the Charlestown race is, you know, that's a unusual racetrack, the circumference, and we're outside drawn. But really, that we leave it up to Brian as always. He knows the horse really well. But I'd love to think he could come out of there with a win. And we've actually nominated him to the Korean Cup.
Oh.
So there's an off chance that if he ran well down there, that he could go to Korea. But he owns a track record at Churchill, a 1.1 1/8 track record, which is a pretty regularly used distance over there. And this horse has always run well and always gives us everything he's got.
Been working up here as he headed down already, or
he trained first set this morning,
okay.
and then he was loaded on the truck, and he is halfway there.
All right, then that's again tomorrow night. Tomorrow here in the Yaddo, you have Midnight Concerto. What are your expectations there? You're kind of, that's post position is doing you no favors tomorrow.
I haven't seen the morning line odds on her, but she is
20.
Well, she's absolute pace setup filly, and I don't think you can win those kind of races. And the pace setup doesn't come to you when you're the favorite. So I'm not, 20-1. Fine, they're not going to pay any attention. It looks to me like there's a lot of speed on the inside of her. It looks like the first 5 horses from the rail out are all with gas.
Yeah, you're right.
And I really would like to hope that race unfolds so that they set some pace, and then she's able to tuck in, save some ground, and then finish fast. I mean, we'd like to get some New York black type on her. She's been an ultra consistent filly, but she is a little tricky to ride, and the way the race sets up, it really predicts or gives you. If there's no pace in the races, she has no chance. But if there's pace, she has a legitimate chance.
Yeah, and she's on the outside in the 12.
She still owns the A other than, open A other than. She's got the New York bred A other than and the 2 other than knocked out. But the open A other than, she may shift back to that if she's not competitive here. But I'll tell you this, I think she's playable. She's doing super right now. She's actually Anna's workmate for a couple of works.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then we gave her a little reprieve from that last weekend.
Yeah, no, enough is enough. She says.
But she's doing good.
So that's Midnight Concerto. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about just a couple of days ago. Hypnus, I was on board that horse off the career debut victory, which was phenomenal. It's been maybe a little bit inconsistent since then, but just a couple of days ago down at Philly, ran third in the Smarty Jones. What's the game plan for Hypnus?
Well, he shows flashes of talent,
yeah.
and then he has been extremely studdish in the paddock in a couple of his runs, and which were really hard. He was really hard to deal with at Churchill in the paddock, but he ran well anyway, won, and then and we blinkered him for that. And then this last race, I took him off because I think he's maturing and he stopped the silliness. He seems to be a horse that's much more focused, but he ended up a little too far back in the race at Parks. and looked like to me the rail was pretty kind to the front runners, and then he just couldn't run them down. But when he showed gear, he got it. But this is a horse that could be going the right way, but at the same time, he needs to show a lot more than he's shown. And right now, I'm planning on pointing him to a September 20th stake at Churchill.
Okay. And again, that career debut, you've sat in here before and said you don't necessarily have him totally cranked up, or you're not looking for that win first out. Was that a surprise? Because as I say, I jumped on board him off of that win down at Fairgrounds on my birthday, in fact, in January, which he was just phenomenal in the career debut.
Well, he handled the mud really well that night, too,
yeah.
And he split horses. And, it was an impressive run. I'm not sure what he beat in hindsight. But this is, he's very well bred. He's into mischief, obviously, out of a Grade 1 winning mare. And, look, I think he's still a horse maturing. He had some issues as a young horse, as a 2-year-old, and then that kept him from the races as a 2-year-old. But, the next few runs, we'll start getting a little more clarity. And I think he could be a consistent stake horse in the future.
Yeah, relatively lightly raced. Only 8 starts so far. And so still upside potential for him. And I commented, I wanted you to talk a little bit about you're up here at Saratoga, obviously, as you say, over in the annex. But I pulled up Equibase and look, man, you are with maiden specials this past month, going back to the beginning of August, 6 winners in the maiden special ranks at Ellis. So you're doing pretty well at Ellis and doing it with the 2-year-olds.
Well, with all that we've been through the last couple of seasons, certainly with Mystic Dane and Thorpedo, and some people nickname me Mr. Netflix, which is okay. But our business is strong right now. We've got a lot of horses. We've got a fantastic team of people, but we've got all these young horses in the pipeline, and those maiden winners are obviously a reflection of that. And then the ones that are rising up into stake races in the next few starts are going to be interesting. And we're following even that group that's won last month with a whole nother group that's another group that's really, really talented. And don't be surprised if we're knocking down a lot of nice quality maiden races between, September, October, November. We've got real good base of young horses.
Yeah, as I say, you were knocking out of the park with the main specials down at Ellis, which has become a place where I think the last 2 or 3 years, debuting 2-year-olds at Ellis have gone on to make some noise. It seems
I've done that for 25 years. What are you going to do? But it's a good spot. And my guy down there, Greg Geyer, rock solid. Francisco Serrano up here in New York's been doing a super job. We've got Jimmy Jerkins is fit. We had a fellow named All About You run the other day that Jimmy got ready, and he's going to have a nice base of young horses down there too. And we're all kind of rowing in the same direction. And I've been in France. I just got back last night from the Arcana sale, and previous to that, I was in Japan for a little bit for that sale. Didn't buy in Japan, but bought 3 in Arcana, and then we've got the Fasig-Tipton. Well, we just had the Fasig-Tipton August, which I bought 2 in the Select and 3 in the New York Breds, and then now we hit Keeneland September. So it's busy.
Yeah.
Recruiting time here. I only do yearlings at this stage in my career. I love doing yearlings, but it's a lot of work doing both. I'm a little jet lagged sitting here.
Well, and I was going to ask, because I saw on Twitter that you had been over at Deauville and the Arcana sale, and I was going to ask what the it seems like it's become more of a thing, going over Goff's, Tattersall's, connections over here going over. Used to be a thing. They'd come over and take our stock and head back to Europe. And now we're doing a little more in the opposite direction. So what was the impetus for going over to France?
Strength of the dollar. I've bought out of that sale previously. I've had 3 stakes winners from 8 tries. It's a pretty good number.
Absolutely.
And this year we bought 3 again, but the strength of the dollar means everything. And then, the tariffs hurt us this trip. We're having to pay tariffs on those horses coming out of there. So I don't know that we're going to put some money into the American government's pocket, but it hurts my clients and certainly puts a little damper on their interest. But I had three purchases where the client was brave enough to weather that. And I thought the market was fair. As long as you weren't bidding against Coolmore and Sheikh Mohammed, you had a real chance to buy a nice horse for a reasonable price or a fair price. And the 3 that I bought over there are going to go to Newmarket and train. Yeah, they're going to train over in Newmarket for a period, and well, it's kind of a double edge. If you export them, you don't have to pay the VAT, and yet if you export them, you have to pay the tariff. so we were kind of getting hit either or, but we would rather not have the tariff. But there were other American clients that went over and did the same thing. But that's a great trip for those that don't know about it. I mean, Arcana, they bring a private plane, they charter a plane. It's never full. It's a great group of horsemen on there. Some really world class horsemen that are on that plane, and it's a lot of camaraderie, and everybody really enjoys each other, and plenty of French wine and champagne, and you got to work hard too. That's the stress of it all, is you got to go over there and you got to work and maybe play a little bit. And then my wife got a chance to stop in Paris and shop for a day, and
there you go.
Everything I made, she spent. So
not
really.
I wanted you to talk a little bit about that, because I saw on your Twitter feed that you had been over there, and it's, as I say, it's become interesting the last few years, the Americans going over and bringing some of those Europeans back, and successfully, it seems like. Before we let you go, also wanted to give you a chance to talk about, because you're doing a little podcasting now, and then there is a Horse Race Now podcast channel on YouTube. People can check it out. Is that regularly scheduled?
Well, I'm going to say I got drug into that, not kicking and screaming, but I was asked to do the church podcast after the Kentucky Derby by Father Bill, and I agreed to do it's St. Margaret Mary local church there in Louisville, and I did that, and the gentleman that did the podcast said after we were done, he said, "Man, you need to do your own." And I said, "I don't have time. I've got things to do. I really don't want to do it." And he kept kind of hounding me a little bit about that. And I said, "Well," and he said, "If you'll do two, just do two of them." Okay. We did a couple, and I think it gets 150,000 uniques a week. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I don't know why they want to listen to me, but anyway, I tend to just what I call lay it out there. Actually, what I do, even doing it here, I lay it out there. There's not any secrets with us. It's a game of failure. I'm glad to share even our failures and our successes. For the critics out there, look, this is a hard game. The more people understand it, I think that the more they appreciate how hard it is. And that gives me at least a chance to explain, whether it's working yearling sales, whether it's showing them my yearling base, showing them Magdalena. We've done podcasts from Keeneland and Churchill and Saratoga. We've done several. We're going to do one today, I think, if I can find the energy for it. We've done all the auctions. I actually probably going to talk about the French sale on today's version, and we try to get those out every Friday. But yeah, it's fun, and we're fortunate. We've got a couple of sponsors at this stage, so that's good. But look, I enjoy sharing the game. The Horse Races Now app's been a passion project. I like to call it a loss leader. When people download the app, then they give us an opportunity to email them. Certainly updates on McPeek Racing, but the sport really needs to figure out how to grow itself. And while we're at it, I think we really need to open the sport. I mean, I think the notion that a young person has to open an ADW account or subscribe to watch a race is ridiculous. My saying is if you don't show it, you can't grow it. And we really, really need to open it. I believe it's a media rights issue. I think that the sooner this sport opens itself up and makes it so easy to watch that you can't help it, as opposed to, if you're in the wrong state, you can't watch. If you don't have a credit card, open an ADW account, you can't watch. If you can't watch Capital OTB, you can't watch. I mean, it's really ridiculous.
Yeah.
The foal crops continually shrunk, and when I started training, there were 50,000 plus foals, and now we're down to 16. And I think it's a simple one. I think it's too hard for young people to watch. And we created Horse Races Now for that. And yet we can't get any video. We can't afford the streaming video. I don't understand why it's so expensive. I don't understand why each and every racetrack in America doesn't supply the streaming video to each and every outlet that wants it. So, so that your show would be blowing it out the roof if we had more fans. And
Yeah.
Sonny's over here trying to say hello.
He's making
hello.
friends. He's making friends.
All right. Can we end it on that?
We can. Ken, always appreciate the visit. We wish you a lot of good luck with Thorpedo Anna on Saturday. And I know it's a busy time, and you talk about jet lag, so we appreciate you coming by.
Send me the dry cleaning bill. You're covered in. You are now officially covered in dog hair.
I don't mind that, though.
Yeah.
Ken, appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, we'll take a break. Dave Grening is in the house. Stay tuned.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
For centuries, the bond between horse and human has been forged in trust and hands-on care. Thoroughbred Racing is combining that tradition with cutting-edge technology to raise our standards even higher. New investments in wearable biometrics, advanced imaging, and AI help optimize our safety programs.
That opening quarter mile was a quick one.
Every day, a commitment to improving their care. So win or lose, it's safety that runs first. To learn more, visit safetyrunsfirst.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Thursday morning. Again, thanks to Ken McPeek and Sonny for making a brief appearance. Sonny, at least, making a brief appearance this morning. And as touted at the top of the show, it's in the Daily Racing Form Thursday rotation. Dave Grening is in the mix. Dave, good morning.
Good morning. I think it's my last appearance.
That would be right. Yes, that would absolutely. We are dwindling. It always goes so fast. I mean, you feel like at the beginning of the meet, but I personally, I think I'm kind of ready.
Well, if you're ready, then we know it's getting too long because you're always like, wait a second, there's more. There's got to be more.
Yeah, because I'm fading out. Yesterday I went home because it was freezing here after the show, and there was like 3 hours of the first race. I went home to do a little work and promptly had an hour nap. So
Nice.
But then I did make it back to the track later on. Before we get into what's coming up, let's just get some thoughts on last weekend. We'll watch the stretch run to the Alabama. And again, it was a fun race because Nitrogen added an intriguing aspect to it, given that she's had such a great turf career. LaCara goes out and sets the pedestrian fractions. I thought on the backstretch she had it in her back pocket, but Nitrogen goes by. Good Cheer couldn't catch up. Your thoughts on the Alabama?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in Good Cheer. I thought I thought she had a chance to go by, and Nitrogen sort of weaving all over the place a little bit. And I thought Good Cheer was going to have a chance to go by. She did not. Obviously, Nitrogen sort of wandering a bit, which is a little concerning. But that's a mile and a quarter, and I don't know if it was the mile and a quarter or if it was the fact that she was all alone by herself and she'd like to see a friend. I don't know, but Nitrogen's a very cool horse. She can do it on grass, on dirt. She's 2 for 2 and I'm on dirt. romped in the slop, handled the dirt here on fast dirt track. She's going to stay on dirt the rest of the year. Looks like the spinster is what they've decided on against the older horses, where you might maybe run into a Thorpedo Anna, or maybe not. Interesting, Kenny. I don't know if he brought it up on your show, but he mentioned something about maybe going to Delaware after this race, because Delaware handicap has been moved to September, and maybe it might fall into a nice spot on the calendar. But let's see how she gets through Saturday first. But Nitrogen, Spinster, Breeders' Cup Distaff, we'll see. I think this older filly and mare dirt division is a little jumbled right now.
Yeah.
When you look at the personal ensign, everyone has a really good race, and they also have a couple bad races. So except for Thorpedo Anna, she only has the one bad race. But as her competition on Saturday, there's like, wow, that's a really good race, and then you're like, oh, there's two bad ones. So maybe some clarity after this weekend on that older dirt female division.
And going back to this weekend, I'll also toss in It's Our Time. Everybody is kind of talking about the eye-popping performance from the Tommy Amos runner.
I haven't seen one like that in a while. So by that margin, I try not to get too crazy on one race. Used to, and now it's like, let's see a body of work before we jump anointing them the next whomever that you want to anoint them to be. But it was a superlative performance. I'd love to see him come for the Champagne. I kind of think once he ships him back to Kentucky, he'll stay there and look at the Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland. But either way, you'll be anxious to see wherever he runs. You'll be anxious to see him make his second start.
Yeah, 91 buyer. Can he back that up?
94, I think, or they changed it already.
Oh, well, maybe it wasn't
94 when I saw it.
It was 91 for nitrogen, right? Yeah.
Okay. Because
I'm seeing the.
It could be sometimes I get the first figure, and then sometimes they look at it.
No, you're right. For a 2-year-old this time of year, it was
94 is huge. Yeah.
And also, I just want to go back to Friday. Future is turning out to be a monster.
What a cool filly what a cool horse that is. Fires every time, gives you the same type of race, and you're never not going to get that horse's A race, it seems. And I thought Friday was the easiest trip that horse has had since being up here. And, I don't think they're thinking of the Breeders' Cup, but they'll go to Kentucky next. I think it's the Franklin Simpson at Keeneland. And there's even talk about bringing her back next year, which would be cool.
That'd be great.
The daughters of, Robert Johnson passed, and the daughters have taken over things now, and they're going to talk with Michael about it, Trebetta, and see what the future holds. But she's really very good.
Mike, in the day after the victory, and emotional. The previous victory, they were all in the winner's circle and got a little bit emotional. The late, breeder down in Maryland, but she's just been phenomenal. And interesting too. You say go to that race at Keeneland. That's what they did. They're just on the same path they were last year, which you rarely see.
Right, they're on the same schedule, and they don't try to deviate too much. And why? These are the races for her to be in. A couple of races in Saratoga, which of course that she loves. Actually, I don't think there's a course she doesn't love. And go to Keeneland for a nice pot, and then see from there. I guess the Breeders' Cup could be in play. I wouldn't think so, but who knows? Yeah, 5's a little sharp.
They don't need the Breeders' Cup to prove that she's a monster. She was just phenomenal to watch the other day. So it was a good weekend last weekend, a good weekend coming up, including over the next couple of days, some New York bred stakes races. We'll hit on one of those before we get to Saturday. The Yaddo comes up tomorrow, mile and 16th on the grass for the fillies and mares. Ken was in and thought Midnight Concerto at 20-1. He kind of felt like if there's a pace up front, she may stand a chance to be in the mix. The post position scared me away from her. I used Sterling Silver, the Bill Mott runner, who has one turf try. It's not on the page, but I'm kind of putting my trust in the trainer. I thought Sterling Silver was a little bit interesting. Awesome check. Moon Age Daydream had George Abreu earlier, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, but in anticipation, I saw Moon Age Daydream was working, and he said, we're going to aim for the Yaddo, and here they are. But off the long layoff, we'll see. But he thought it was a good spot. What are your thoughts in the Yaddo?
Look, he's got very good numbers, Abreu, off layoffs like this. So she's a very good look. She's the female New York Red Turf champion. So you got to respect her, and she reeled off three in a row to end her year, just like where's she been type of thing. He told me he couldn't find a spot for her before this, but I like Awesome Check. I like the versatility this filly has. They put blinkers on her last time, and she went to the lead. I thought she was pace compromised in the Mount Vernon 2-back. Santana's riding great this whole meet.
Yeah.
I don't think she has to be on the lead, but she was pretty game on the lead in that race. And if she goes, you're going to have to tussle to get by her. 2 horses from that race that she won have come back and won, Dino Rouge, which it shows. And then there's a 5th place horse who came out of that race to also win. So she loves this course. She's 3 for 4 with, again, the 3rd in that slow pace Mount Vernon. So I went back to her for this spot. Sterling Silver, the work on the turf the other day was okay. I kind of thought he was kind of hunting for a spot. Like there's not a really good race for her on the program. She mentioned she ran her one turf race was the Autumn Days. It was a sprint. She was 4th, beaten 2 lengths. It was an okay race. It was a long time ago, and the breeze was fine. And she's a solid enough filly, and she should get the pace that she likes. But I just wonder if the surface is really her best. And I just think there's no like she's ready to run. Why not take a shot and run her here? Maybe it opens up some doors down the road. Or you can go back to the dirt in the New York bred races that are at Aqueduct next month.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's move on to Saturday and just kind of work our way back from the highlight. Travers, a field of 5 in here. Looking at social media this week, people are kind of looking to potentially beat Sovereignty with Magnitude. I pulled up the Iowa Derby so people could get a look at that last victory, which was a nice triple-digit buyer. He strung a couple triple digits together in the last couple of starts, including the win in the Risen Star. But to me, Sovereignty is just so much the head of the class. I couldn't get past Sovereignty. I think Strategic Focus, lately raced, and a triple-digit buyer as well on the resume is maybe a little bit interesting. McAfee, but I couldn't get past Sovereignty.
Yeah, look, I would give Magnitude a puncher's chance, more than a puncher's chance to win. When you win 2 races by 9 lengths, and one of them, go back to February. This was a comeback race. It was a setup. It was a really, it's like an exhibition type of thing. Get back in the groove, sort of thing. But the race that earmarked this horse as a talented runner was the Risen Star.
Yeah.
I mean, beat horses that did go on to do some things, or at least compete in those bigger races. Even Chunk of Gold, I think, just recently won a Derby of some of some sort, and West Virginia Derby. Sorry,
Yeah.
And I think that was the race. I mean, if that horse was going to be debut as the number 1 horse on DRF's Derby Watch. Except the day after the horse won, he got hurt. They found a chip and had to take him off the trail. So I think the pace advantage he's going to have, I think gives him a shot. Now, 1 race since February at a mile 16th. Is that good enough to beat Sovereignty, who, as good as Sovereignty is, he's never better than when he's at a mile and a quarter. His Derby and his Belmont Stakes are 2 of the 2 best races he's run. And they were at a mile and a quarter, and he just sort of gets going. The confidence that Junior Alvarado has in this horse is second to none. I mean, it even surprises Bill Mott. The last 2 races where he's put himself into the race, drop back, and then come again. I mean, that's horse and rider sort of simpatico. And I have a hard time getting past Sovereignty too, but 2 to 5 is also tough to take. But 2 to 1 on Magnitude is not necessarily value, but if I wanted to try to beat him, that would be the other horse. I will give Strategic Focus. I like this horse. I just don't know if this is his time. I mean, the 3 races, he's been a little bit green. I know Chad's put the blinkers on him and to try and get him, to stay straighter. And I did watch him gallop this morning on the Oklahoma, and he went around twice, and he looked like a train going around there. I just don't know if that's, if his train is going to be a bullet train enough to beat a horse like Sovereignty. So I'm leaning to picking Magnitude, but I'll go back and forth and think that, I'd almost rather just sit back and watch Sovereignty win and just say we've got a great horse and let's get to the Classic.
Yeah, and the change in style of kind of being up close for the last couple and up close in that Jim Dandy, and then kind of went back a little bit and made the run. To me, he's just the head of the class.
Yeah, no question.
I couldn't get by him. But I do think Magnitude makes the race interesting even in a field of 5. And it is an undercard that is offering up a lot of intrigue, including in the Forego field of 11 in this sprint. I pulled up a replay of the Vanderbilt because the horses that will take action are obviously Bookham Dano, who's been so much fun, in Mulligan. They're going to run 1-2 in here. Bookham Dano, the number 5, Mulligan, number 4. I had Michael Dubb in yesterday. He was talking about the group taking a shot with Bishop's Bay coming off the win in the Salvatore Mile, but they'd love to get some grade 1 black type, and I think is legit in here, stepping into obviously a saltier group, but I think belongs. Most Wanted is interesting. What are your thoughts in the 4 go?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a big field and another horse that you'd like to maybe take a shot against and book him down, but when does he ever run a bad race? It's hard to do that. I'm a Mulligan fan. Goes back to Pratt here, who's had some success on him, but I mean, this horse hasn't yet beat Bookham Dano, but maybe the third time's the charm. We sort of saw that with Jackie's Warrior and name another sprinter that I'm forgetting about. Maybe it was a Friends Fire, or maybe not. But there seemed to be. It was Elite Power. It seemed like those two were going back and forth, and maybe the third time's the charm for Mulligan here. He will be little bit better price. I do like that he's drawn toward the outside, and he's got Pratt. So maybe this is his turn, as opposed to having he'll have the target of Bookham Dano, perhaps if he can get a little bit more of a patient ride type of thing. The 7/8. He has run some of his best races at 7/8, but I have it between those two. I know it's a big field, and you'd like to sort of come up with somebody else. I'm having trouble coming up with another horse. Bishop's Bay, I think the 1-turn mile's been good for him, and then I know he won the 2-turn miles in Monmouth last time out. I just think with him and Most Wanted are inside. I think they have to get out of there, and I don't know that that's going to bode well for them at the finish.
Interesting group in there. Yeah, college basketball, it's always hard to get 3 wins against a team in one season. So we will see if that holds up with Mulligan as well. Ballerina pulled up a replay in here of Future Is Now. The aforementioned Future Is Now going to win. Zeitlos is going to run second. I like Zeitlos in this race. Moving to the turf and just misses. Zeitlos will be the number 2 horse here. Future's Now number 7, and then we said it. Future's Now is kind of a monster, so that was a good second place finish. Now makes a turf to dirt move. I think Zeitlos is interesting. Scylla player as well. Hope Road comes in for Bob Baffert. Another interesting field. Your thoughts on the Ballerina?
I'm with you on Zeitlos. I think this is a horse worth taking a shot if you get that 6-1 or more in this race. Last year she ran 3rd in the Caress, got beat a length, 5th in the Caress, got beat a length, and came back and won a dirt stake at Churchill Downs. It wasn't a graded race, but it was $300,000, so somebody was in there of note. And I think she's doing the same thing here. In her race, it was an ideal prep. I think the idea of running in that race was to get to this race. So I think she's very live in here. I'm a Scylla fan. I've always been a Scylla fan, and I can sort of make excuses. She's 0 for 3 this year, but I can sort of make excuses for her races this year. She caught a sloppy track and a fastly run and a very sharp Copian in the Derby City Distaff off the bench. She ran into Ways and Means, the reason this race is so wide open is because Ways and Means isn't in it, and she's had a fever, so she couldn't enter it. So Scylla ran into Ways and Means on a day that nobody was going to beat that filly, and then she caught Scylla caught a sloppy track and ran an honorable miss, ran 3/4, which is not her distance. So I could sort of make excuses, but how many excuses do I want to make for a horse that's going to be a shorterish price? So while I would definitely use her, I do think Zeitlos is interesting in a price. And I see, Hope Road drawing on the outside. What's interesting about Hope Road, she's a daughter of Marley's Freedom, who did win this race for Bob in 2018. She ran sort of a dull 3rd in the winning colors at Churchill, but she was coming back in 23 days after running a big number, went second to Copian in the Derby City Distaff. So she probably bounced a little bit. I talked to Bob yesterday. He said, probably running her back that quick wasn't the smartest thing to do. But you look at a workout pattern. This filly's working with a purpose. She has 10 works since she got back to California. In the last 4 or 3/4. I asked him about that. He says, well, we're not running at the county fair. We're running to Saratoga. She's drawn on the outside. She's going to be very tough. And Bob's won this race twice. Gamine and, like I said, Marley's Freedom, who is the mother of Hope Road.
Yeah, she's clearly going to be live with all of that working for. The Allen Jerkins, another fun field in the Allen Jerkins. I pulled a replay of Verifier, who is now 3 for 3 for Brad Cox and company, and the last race was a stakes victory in the Maxfield, going to be the number 10 horse here. And a big full field gets it done. This is a salty move into grade 1 company against some proven performers. Midland Money comes in for Bob Baffert. Similar situation, very lightly raced, but shown some talent. Patch Adams coming in off the win in the Woody Stevens. Chancellor McPatrick coming off the win in the Curlin. Fun field in here. Your thoughts on the Jerkins?
It is. And, while that was a listed stake, he beat 2 horses that are in here: Captain Cook, who's now first-time Fletcher, and Smoking Wicked, who came out of that race and won the Amsterdam with a big number and a big performance. I'm a little interested in Bob's other horse, one of his other horses in here, the Matticat Road, who has not been out since Woody Stevens, where he ran second to Patch Adams with a bit of a troubled trip. Had an inside draw. I love the fact that he's outside now. If you look at all his sprint races, he's always drawn inside, and now he gets to be the outside box here with Johnny V up there. It could work out a really nice stalking trip, and I think there's talent here. And I think his second in the Woody Stevens shows that. And they tried, and the second in the Pat Day Mile to Macho Music, who again was a runaway winner that day. I don't know what's happened to that horse, but that was another one of those ways and means type of performances where you weren't going to beat that horse on that particular day. I think Matticat Road with the outside draw, pace to stalk. I think he's at a 6-1 or ish. I think he's very live in this spot. It's a fun race, and you even have to look. Chancellor McPatrick.
I'm interested to see if he can put 2
cuts
together.
Back, yeah, that's the thing. He's got to put those 2 together. But and he ran a gutty race in the Curlin,
absolutely,
and at a distance that he probably really doesn't want. So cutting back to 7/8, he's a hopeful winner from last year. Is he the same horse as he was last year? I don't know, but I think this is a fun race where I'm going to try and use Matticat Road on top.
Yeah, Chancellor McPatrick on the rebound win last time. He's interesting to me. And finally, the personal ensign, the aforementioned personal ensign, Thorpedo Anna, obviously going to take a lot of action. I pulled up a replay of Leslie's Rose in the Shoe V. I think she is very intriguing in here. Randomized, Darth Vader. Your thoughts on the personal ensign?
So I was all set to toss Thorpedo Anna until I saw her breeze last week. I thought that work last week was better than I've seen from her since she's gotten here. She was a little on the muscle today. He did. I'm sure he explained
Penny
this.
said that, yeah.
She was, and the rider. Rider was a little nervous too, I guess, being back on the main track and saw a lot of eyes in the paddock. A lot of cameras, a lot of people watching. So a little bit odd. Not odd, but just a tough morning, I guess you'd say. But she'll probably gallop tomorrow. And he loves the post for her. So in the La Troyenne, her only bad race, she got kind of bounced around a little bit. But so did Darth Vader. And Darth Vader ran a sneaky good 4th that day. Came back and ran, it was a slop. The Ogden Phipps won that race here at Saratoga. It was a sloppy track. Then went down to Monmouth and was 4th to randomize. That's what I was saying earlier. All these horses seem to have a good race, and then they throw in a clunker. And then they come back with a good race. And I'm wondering if maybe Darth Vader staying home. George Weaver mentioned to me she goes a little nervous down there, so she had to ship to Monmouth. Probably shipped the day of. I think she's due for a bounce back performance, Darth Vader, and I'm willing to take a shot at her. Take a shot with her at a price. I don't know what to do with Raging Sea. Her last 2 races have been, one was a slop, and then the last time out, I don't really have an excuse for her in the Shuby. I do agree with you. Leslie's Rose is very interesting. You can she's got dirtied up form, but it's all on, her bad races are on sloppy tracks. I actually thought her vagrancy I know she got beat. She was 3rd, but she was beaten in the neck by Hall and Ice, who's a nice, and our Disaster, who, by the way, just ran here and won here yesterday. So they were nice fillies doing what they do best. She doesn't, Leslie's Rose is not a sprinter. So I think Leslie's Rose and Darth Vader are horses that I would use. I will use Thorpedo Anna, obviously, on multi-race wagers, but I probably won't put her on top.
Yeah, I have Leslie's Rose on top, but again, we'll see how that works out. And again, a card that's a lot of fun. The short field and the Travers, but magnitude makes that interesting. I think the undercard is a lot of fun, though. And
the last time we had 5 in the Travers was a pretty good Travers. Holy Bull holds off concern. That turned out to be a pretty good race. And there,
good point.
Really, if there was social media there, they'd really be going crazy because there were a couple entries. It was a couple entries. There was only 4 betting interests in that 5-horse field. Twitter would have freaking exploded back then.
That might be fun if somebody went back and tried to imagine Twitter 20 years ago, looking at some of the horse racing things.
Let's not.
Yeah, maybe you're right. We have enough Twitter as it is. Let's not add more. Dave, appreciate the visit and throughout the season as well. Keep up the good work. Again, the workout reports still available for the Saratoga season. When Mike was in here before, still maybe trying to work things out on the move down to New York as far as the workout reports, but certainly.
Yeah, that's still something that we're working out to see if that's going to happen. But definitely through the end of this meet, which what do you got? 10 more days to go? 9 more days?
So plenty of opportunity to pull up a workout report that gives you a little information that not everybody has. But again, Dave, appreciate it. Folks can check out your work. hard copy or drf.com. Great coverage in New York and beyond. So thanks for the visits.
All right, Seth, thanks.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Matt Shiffman will join us. Stay tuned. It's been referred to as possibly the best equine-themed gift shop on the planet. Impressions of Saratoga. Impressions of Saratoga, celebrating the Saratoga and equestrian lifestyles. It's your number one choice for Saratoga souvenirs, apparel, and gift shopping. We have gifts for the entire family, and we're pet-friendly too. Visit us online at impressionssaratoga.com or come on down. Impressions of Saratoga, 368 Broadway, downtown Saratoga.
Why just watch the races when you can be in the middle of the action? For nearly 20 years, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program has made thoroughbred ownership affordable for the everyday fan. Ownerships of 5 and 10% are now available on a nice selection of horses. As a partial owner with Bonaventure Stables, you'll enjoy all the benefits afforded every owner. Visit with your horse in the private stable area. Greet the trainers and jockeys in the paddock. And when your horse wins, savor the moment in the winner's circle at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, or wherever you bring home the prize. Based in historic Saratoga Springs, Bonaventure Stables has been training winners and creating memories since 2005. Learn more, see available horses, and meet our team at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, hey, it's our friend Matt Shiffman. Sits just down the row from me. We're both up in the second tier in the press box, although you are a stairway away from me. I got to cross the stairway to get over your area. But Matt's been in town most of the meet, covering Saratoga for Horse Racing Nation. Matt, good morning.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here. Thanks, Seth.
Happy to have you here. And I said most of the meet. You were down. You went to Monmouth for Haskell weekend, right?
I did. I am from New Jersey. I was lived in New Jersey my whole life. I'm a Jersey bred, like Bookham Dano, and yes, I would feel disloyal if I didn't make the trip down for the Haskell. So,
and now that we brought it up, might as well mention, a nice win for journalism down there, and continues to make the 3-year-old scene interesting this year. We'll talk a little bit about sovereignty, however. But to me, at this point in the year, it's clearly sovereignty journalism by Asia 1, 2, 3.
I think there's no question about that. They, between them, they won the Kentucky Derby, the Belmont, the Preakness, and Baeza was right there in all of them. So those three are a pretty impressive lot, and in this year, the 3-year-olds are, kind of are the newsmakers, with Sovereignty as the top ranked thoroughbred in the NTRA poll, and journalism's not too far behind, with Sierra Leone in between.
Which says a lot, because I think the older class this year is pretty good. With horses from last year's 3-year-old crop, which at this time of the year was still a little undefined, but as we got to the end of the year and as they became 4-year-olds, they have made the older division very interesting. So that Sovereignty is sitting up there at the top, I think, says a lot.
I think so, and has been up there for an awful lot of this year. And and we've got other 3-year-olds, and we'll certainly talk about them later on in this in our time here.
And again, you've been up most of the meet, covering things for Horse Racing Nation. Just some thoughts on the meet in general. To me, notable things as we're hitting the home stretch here. The weather early was a little funky with rain. We've had crazy humidity on other days. This weekend looks great weather-wise. Yesterday was a little dicey, obviously, but going forward looks good. But the weather was a little bit of an issue. Racing, however, was very good. Last weekend, Nitrogen with the Alabama, one of the highlights of the meet. She added intrigue, being more of a turf horse, but coming over and winning on the dirt. When Dave was in here, I also mentioned I had Mike Trombetta on last Saturday. Future is Now on Friday. It was phenomenal. She's a monster, and it's our time last week with the debut. Again, we're getting towards the end of the meet with Alabama and Travers, so some of the highlights, racing to the top, as it were. But so far, so good. I think the meet's been a lot of fun with some performances that will be notable as we head to the end of the year.
Yeah, and bringing up those impressive 2-year-old performances, that's just such a traditional Saratoga element. The big 2-year-olds and what they're doing, and that performance by the Amos horse, and he wasn't even the hyped horse in that race. The other horse for the Jason Worth and the Icon group, that was the hyped horse. Went off at I think 4 to 5. Came out of the gate, looked like a winner.
Yeah, coming around the turn
until the turn, and then whoosh. Yeah. I mean, I was alive in a pick 5. I had that Icon horse singled, and I'm like, oh, I'm sitting pretty, and then whoosh, But hey, that's the way it goes.
And nice figure for the horse, and it was a very nice performance. And again, a summer of really nice performances, and there will be more of them over the next few days. Yeah. When you sat down, I asked you if you had any thoughts for this afternoon, and then we'll move on and get some thoughts on Saturday. But you said today, 6th and the 7th race, you found some interesting. I'm going to be interested to see where you go in the 7th, or in the 6th, because that was my dark horse play of the day today, brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile in downtown Saratoga.
Okay.
But I only landed here. I landed on the 7, Jetty's Home, but I only landed there because I had one that I preferred earlier in one of the off the turf races, so I couldn't stick there. So I'm not super enthusiastic, but I went 7, 10, 4, and 1 in the 6th. How did you see it?
I think we're similar there. I went 7 on top.
All right, very good.
With the 4, a little bit of the 8, and the 1. I mean, the 7 is an interesting horse. Will be making his 3rd start here. Second start was at the beginning of the meeting, and ran a good race there. It was 20 to 1 in there, so maybe we missed an opportunity there. Finished 2nd, but was well clear of the rest of the field. And interestingly, this barn change now to Safi, so that. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I also like the 4, Sparkling Mama, who ran a very nice race on debut, was stalking, had the lead in the stretch, was bet down to 7 to 2 for a trainer that does not win with first-time starters in Dominic Schettino. So it was interesting how well she ran, how much she was bet down. They have to like the horse, but looking at the sale price here, there's a $5,000 purchase at Ocala. I know horses slipped through the cracks there because there were so many horses in those auctions for a Vekoma, and Vekoma is about as hot as young sire as there is. But that was a really nice performance for Dominic Schettino. Now coming back for a 2nd start, his numbers are significantly better with horses that have had a race. Flavian Pratt sticks on board, so I like those 2 in there.
I'm right there.
We'll see what the prices are on the board, and we'll see if the Schettino horse takes the money again in there,
which would be notable.
Yeah.
7th race today. This one sticks on the grass at 5.5. 2 and 5 are off. Keep that in mind going forward. I went to the outside. Gin's Beach Road, 12, 8, 2, and 5. This one's a sibling to Gasoline, who was nice early in the career for Todd Pletcher, but Agate Road, second in debut, won the next 2 starts. Plentitude won the first 2 starts of the career. So I thought there was win early. Horse ran well in debut, got that education from Mark Cassie. So I landed there. I went 12, 8, 2, and 5. How did you see race?
Yeah, and you had Kenny on in the show earlier, and he's got the 11 Dancing Girl in there with a series of a very impressive workouts. It's a little tough from the 11 and 12 in these turf sprints. So we'll see how much action they get. I like Fast Market a little bit in here. He made his second start off a layoff on July 20th at Saratoga. The running line doesn't show it here, but if you watch that race or looked at the charts a little bit more, he got steadied a little bit in the early going in that race and came flying at the end. So if some of the horses that you mentioned, throw down a fast pace, it could set things up for Fast Market, and maybe we'll get a decent price on that.
I think you get some value, and I do always like the third start back. So
yes, absolutely.
All right, let's take a look at some of the action on Saturday. Let's start with the Travers and just see. Do you have a clever opinion? Dave, who had just had on, said, boy, he wants to go for the magnitude, but not sure. And I think a lot of people are in the same boat. Do we go against but my feeling is, we just mentioned it earlier, Sovereignty is just at the top of the class. I couldn't get past Sovereignty. What are your thoughts?
I don't think I agree. You can't get past Sovereignty in here. I mean, I guess it's easy if you're if you're strictly a speed figure kind of person to look at magnitude and say, okay, digits, 2 triple-digit buyers fits right in there with Sovereignty. He's got a couple of big performances in there. He's an interesting horse to me because in the beginning of his career, he was a little bit of an in and outer. Hadn't really shined very much. And then threw in that monster race in the Risen Star, sorta out of nowhere. And the 43-1 odds certainly agreed with that, but blew that field away in the Risen Star. But then now here we are. He was off again. Obviously, there's this is the kind of horse that's got little things going on here and there. Goes out, finds a nice spot to come back in the Iowa Derby, wins big again, good speed figure, but a little confidence builder and all those things are great. But come on, Seth, let's get down to it. The horses that he's run against are not even on the same planet as what Sovereignty said. We said in the lead-in, he dominated the Triple Crown. The Kentucky Derby and a huge field, and he's a magnificent specimen in person, a big strong horse, and not doing anything wrong. He just had that the loss in the Florida Derby thrown in there, but he was facing the best. He broke his maiden in the street sense on the Kentucky Derby trail. All of these things. I mean, come on, magnitude, nice races, may turn into a really nice horse later this year, next year. There's plenty of derbies to win for him, but I don't know. It's a tough ask.
Sovereignty just so good. I can't get by him.
He's so good. I just can't get by him. It's racing. I think something's going to have to go wrong for him.
And that can always happen. But if they all run their race, it's Sovereignty.
And I know it's a small field, but there's some human interest stuff in this race. Bill Mott, the chance of him getting the Travers, which has eluded him, and not much has eluded Bill over the years in his spectacular career, Hall of Fame career. So having, I think, Bill get that elusive Travers win would be a great thing. Magnitude, trained by Steve Asmussen. He's the only trainer in this field who's ever won a Travers, which he did in 2022 with, I think, with Epicenter or Essential Quality
Essential
or Epicenter?
Quality, maybe.
With Essential Quality or Epicenter.
Or,
Yeah.
One or the other.
And Chad hasn't won the Travers either. So
yeah, a few weeks ago he talked about how important that race in the Whitney were to him. The family won the Whitney a few weeks ago, and clearly that meant a lot that day. Let's shift attention to the Forego. I pulled up a replay because I talked about him with Dave earlier, and I had Michael Dubb on yesterday, one of the multiple owners for Bishop's Bay. So I pulled up the replay of the Salvatore Mile. He's interesting to me once you get past Bookham Dano and Mulligan, who have just thrown down in the last couple of starts. We looked at the Vanderbilt earlier, the Bookham Dano one. I have Bookham Dano on top again, but I do think Bishop's Bay is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a field like so many of these grade ones on the undercard, these spectacular 7 furlong races with so many horses that can run well, and this is a wide open race. If you want it, to me, if you want to look beyond Bookham Dano, who just loves Saratoga and has performed so well, he's already won twice here. I mean, the extra Saratoga meetings make this meeting interesting because we're getting horses coming back who have done big things already. And as far as I'm concerned, more Saratoga is good.
Yeah, with the spacing these days, the trainers like that Belmont meet. A lot of horses were last seen in that Belmont meet. We're getting to see them again up here at Saratoga, whereas maybe with a traditional meet, you wouldn't with the spacing trainers like now. So that is an interesting factor as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have a horse that's going to be a big price that I don't know. I think has a chance that could creep into into the exotics. I thought Scotland.
Oh, okay. I thought that horse was interesting.
Yeah, who was coming back from a December layoff to run in July in a race that, at first glance doesn't look that particularly great, but it's a Bill Mott. He was in a race where he was running against a significant inside bias and was probably much the best. He was third, but he was probably much the best in there. And if he takes a step forward and if the pace is hot, which I don't know how it's not going to be, he could have a chance to get in there for a price.
I took a look at him. Let's take a look, just a couple more before we wrap up. The 10th, the Alan Jerkins. Pulled up a replay here as well. I pulled up a replay of Midland Money being Bob Baffert trainee and undefeated. I thought that horse is worth a look. I put Verifier on top. These two are similar, and I have them 1-2. They're both lightly raced, but showing plenty of talent. But they're facing, saltier company, proven company. Patch Adams, Chancellor McPatrick had the rebound effort last time. He's fun. Again, I think it's a fun field. Your thoughts on the Jerkins?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of interesting horses who have come back to show that some excellent performances that they had earlier in their career were not a fluke, in Chancellor McPatrick, in Patch Adams. The race looks like it again, like the other ones we've talked about, are loaded with speed. Both Baffert horses. Captain Cook looks like another speedy horses. These are horses that don't only like to race on the lead, but they're fast. They are fast. And for me, it's hard not to think that the winner is going to be a horse coming from off the pace. And I'm not so sure with all the speed in here, Seth, that Verifier isn't going to sit behind and stalk a little bit in there. And I'd like to see Verifier do that and be one of the late runners that I prefer along with Patch Adams. So I think Brad Cox could be sitting in the catbird seat with horses coming off to the pace. Yeah, and I don't know what to think of Midland money, fast but boy,
working well.
Working well.
Chancellor McPatrick has that style that you're talking about that may play into the race. And, with that rebound effort last time, he's in. It's just intriguing field.
It is.
And finally, just some thoughts on the personal ensign. Were you bouncing around the backside today this morning? You see Thorpedo in?
I was, yeah. We got up at 5:30 this morning to make the drive in and see Thorpedo Anna. Thorpedo Anna is a horse that I don't know. A lot of people like to be a naysayer about Thorpedo Anna, and we're talking about the horse of the year here. We're talking about a horse that has only lost a couple times. We're talking about a horse that was named horse of the year, a filly over Sierra Leone who won the Classic. It's hard to she's not a horse that puts up big numbers, but
does what she has to do.
She does what she has to do. She's a winner. Boy, she looks spectacular this morning in the paddock and then out on the main track galloping. There was one point where she was finishing up and was about at the 8th pole, and and she's a pretty smart horse. You could see her. Hey, I'm getting towards the finish line, and the exercise rider tried to hold her, and she just got away from him for a minute, and boom, she was past the wire in just a flash, just explosive. I don't know. I'm not an naysayer. It's a very good field.
Yeah,
a lot of quality horses, a lot of Grade 1 winners, but they're going to have to run big to beat her.
Certainly everybody's rooting for it. On a day where the Travers is the exclamation point, she is kind of a secondary exclamation point. To have the horse of the year up here running at Saratoga, in her 4-year-old season. Again, congratulations and thanks to the connections for bringing her back. And Kenny has been so generous with
He is. He always
alerting
is.
Folks when she's going to come out.
Yes.
And did the same this morning with her paddock schooling. So certainly rooting for Thorpedo, and no question about it.
Yeah.
Matt, appreciate the visit. Again, knew I had to have you get plugged in here at some point. As I say, you're right down the second tier up in the press box from me. So happy to have you in and enjoy the rest of the meet.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Seth.
Matt Shiffman. All right, we'll take I was going to say we'll take a break. We will take a break because we're going to wrap up the show. So we're going to have a break that will lead into the afternoon programming. Again, nice day here at Saratoga this afternoon. Sunny. Temperatures are cool and very comfortable. So enjoy the afternoon. And don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. on the Handicappers Report, 10 a.m. Racing Across America. We'll see you then. Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer. Wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.